Hello and welcome to Star Citizen Sunday with me, Ryan, aka Sifu Messiah. This is a weekly show which covers everything from the world of Star Citizen over the past week. Links can be found in the description for anything we discussed during the show, so let's get on with it. So it has been an insane week this week with updates on the Mocap shoot, a deep dive career document on mining, and the awesome concept sale of the RSI Orion mining ship. Plus we pick a winner for the Aurora Essential and give away the Aurora Marquee. I hope you're sitting comfortably. So, kicking off Star Citizen Sunday as usual, we have 10 for the chairman, and I think I chose all the questions, all quite relevant. The first question being about the ship's reputation, and whether it's tied to the ship or its owner. So if you loan out your ship and someone starts causing trouble with it, who is responsible? And basically the owner will take the biggest hit, because he is the registered owner, he should be looking after the ship. He did say it's not fully fleshed out yet as to who is responsible, but they are going to figure out a way so that it's not abused too much. It will be realistic, he says, as well, which God knows what that could mean, but it can only mean, like, you know, you loan out your car, who is responsible? The driver, I suppose, if they cause mayhem. But also, if you're in an organisation's ship and you start plundering and then causing trouble, or the organisation you are representing will take a bit of a hit as well, because you are representing that organisation. So, as said before, they have still got to decide. It's going to be fleshed out, ready for the alpha of the PU at the end of this year, so we shall see. So, next question. If I loan a ship to a friend, can they swap out the weapons and equipment for their own weapons and equipment? And Chris says yes, definitely. They're not 100% sure as to what will happen with your weapons. They assume your items will stay where the weapons were switched, so if he takes it to his hangar and takes your weapons off and then puts his on, the weapons will remain in his hangar, rather than being magically transported back to yours, which is good. And then obviously once handed back, it will be swapped back on again. I mean, to be honest, if I was going to lend someone a ship and they said they wanted to put their own stuff on it, I would take my stuff off in my own hangar and say, take it away. So I suppose it's just going to be as you would expect. Next question is, will Persistent Universe missions scale to the number of players who have taken the mission, also including players who are surrounding the sort of area of operations? And so Chris Roberts says that it depends on the kind of mission. There'll definitely be some scaling in dynamic missions, and depending on your skill level and the size of your group you are flying with will depend on the scaling of the mission itself. And he did give an example of taking a pirate hunt mission, for example. There may be more pirates to hunt if there are more of you to hunt them. So, say, if there's you on your own, there'll only be 2 pirates. If there's 4 of you, there may be 8 pirates. Not 100% sure yet, but it's going to scale somewhere. But also, some of the missions will be set amount. So, again, another example, using the pirates again, there will just be a set amount of pirates, irrelevant of how many players you are taking with you. So, then you decide who splits the money. Because if it's just to take out a couple of pirates and it stays as it is rather than scales to the amount of players you've got, then you've got to share the money evenly, and it could be a lesser cut than if it was a more dynamic mission. But just to keep the universe quite vast and interesting, it's going to have different missions depending on different circumstances. So some will be dynamic and change, some will just stay as they are. So the next question is, if I am a law-abiding citizen and I find a shipwreck, can I salvage it? And Chris says yes. What will happen is, if you come across a derelict and you have not been involved in that ship becoming derelict, then you can salvage it. I mean, it's a bit like the roadkill theory in the UK. I don't know if it's the same everywhere else, but you cannot go out and purposely knock down pheasants or deer or anything, and then pick them up and take them home and eat them. But there are ways that people do it where they go off in pairs, one of them knocks them down, the other one picks it up, which has completely eradicated the rule. So there'll be a way to stop that from happening. Like he says, there'll be a way that, obviously, if you are linked to someone in a way that somehow you have ties with the person who is salvaging it, if you have any ties with that person and you've killed the owner of that ship, then there will be some penalty to pay, I expect. But he did say there'll be a timescale for salvaging. Some ships will be put there, generated by the game to salvage, and then obviously others will be created by PvP, where maybe, the captain gets killed or the crew gets killed, and then it's available to plunder, I suppose. Anyway, moving on. So, next question was, can we stalk people through instances? Chris Roberts explains, he's explained this before, that you can tag people as a person of interest. So if you have a bounty on a player and they are planetside and you think, right, I need to follow this guy, they get into the ship and they're heading off to a jump point, and if they jump through, if you haven't tagged him as a person of interest, they could jump through that jump point and end up in a completely different instance on the other side, and you will have lost contact with them. So you have to tag them as a person of interest, noted through your Mobi glass. He also says you can obviously have friends, enemies, etc. There will be different ones, and it's all, again, down to matchmaking too. So it did say that you can, you choose your person of interest, then you say you track them planet side, and then you can always follow them around. You'll always know where they are if you've tracked them. Whether or not there are ways to stop people tracking you or tagging you as a person of interest, I don't know, but maybe there will be one day. So the question after that is, will the very large ships behave similar to space stations and exist in all instances at once, or will they get matched into single instances somehow? And Chris Roberts explains that it all depends. The very big ones to fight over will be instanced. The Bengal, for example, can only exist in one instance, and there will be some sort of fictional rules to handle people arriving at the ship, and it's exactly the same as a space station. It'll all be in one instance, so you can't have multiple instances with these ships dotted around. So the question after that was, how will NPCs deal with jump points? Will they actually travel through the jump points? And Chris Roberts says, if the AI is being watched, say if you see an AI approaching a jump point, well, not a jump point, say, for instance, the example he gave is if they're having a battle, then you will see the battle happening in front of you. You'll see these two NPCs going at it and destroying each other. Whereas if you are not watching them, they will be simulated in the universe sim, which is the back end sort of, it's like a separate server for the whole universe, which will create these incidents depending on what is necessary within, or who is in the same area and so forth. So if there's pirates and the police in the same area, then they may cause an instance, but you won't see it if you're not physically there. So it will happen in the background, but it will be very, very good and very well simulated to the point that it'll just have the same effect as if you had seen it. So you won't even notice, but I think it basically means that when you go through a jump point, you won't see them going through the jump point. They'll just be there. Unless, I don't know, he did sort of say, if you are actually physically watching someone fight, then you'll see them. But whether or not you can travel behind someone in a jump point and watch this NPC tackle it, I don't think so. I don't know, though. So we didn't really get an answer to that question. Can we capture NPC bounties planet-side, or is it just in space, is the next question. And Chris Roberts says you can capture bounties anywhere, space, planet-side, space stations, everywhere. There are going to be multi-part missions where you can chase someone through space. They'll come down planet-side, they'll get out and run off. You've got to, you'll have a shootout in a seedy bar or in a back alley or something, and then you may end up capturing him, or it may start in a bar. You may see this bounty in a bar. He'll see you. He'll run. You'll run, chase through the streets, probably shooting at him. Maybe not, depending on how many guards there are. But if he gets into a ship, then he'll take off. You'll take off, and it can carry on for as long as they can escape. So if there's a real player bounty, you're going to have some real skill to keep tabs on him. So the next question after that was, can we wear the Mobi glass on any arm? Currently, it's only the left arm. And Chris Roberts says mostly the left. He says they don't support the right arm yet, but they may do eventually, but currently only the left arm. He said it's not really one of the big deals that they've got to deal with. Eventually we may see multi-arms, but then he says there's a lot of animations that need doing for it, so it's just all timescale basically for that one. Right, the final question is, can multi-game packages allow your other characters to play as NPC crew on your ship? And yes, this is something that was mentioned a while back. You can have so many game packages, and if you created a different character, you can hire him on your crew to be part of your crew. And again, part of the question was actually, do we have to pay them? Potentially, Chris says that no, you may not have to pay, but they're not 100% sure on that, because obviously every other NPC you hire will need to be paid. So there is a chance that if you could literally make so many different game packages, so 10 different game packages, you can have a full crew of 10 without having to pay any of them wages. Potentially, but again, by the time the game comes out, we will know for sure. Anyway, that's 10 for the chairman. Let's move on. Okay, so on Around the Verse, episode 32, there was another Empire report, which I shall show you now.
Coming up on the Empire Report, election drama begins early as the non-citizen suffrage movement reaches a fever pitch on the streets of New Austin. We'll have live coverage of the protests in progress. And
do planets have the right to limit the number of children you have? Find out how one governor is trying to change procreation practices forever.
Heat wave. Learn how Centauri's slight solar expansion might mean the best beach season the Empire has seen in years.
All that and more on the next Empire Report at 2200 SET.
It was, as always, hosted by Sandy and Ben, and they started by pretty much apologising for the Arena Commander event where you could play with the developers. As obviously, I don't know if you tried, I tried trying to get online for about an hour and a half, which it didn't happen. We were constantly sat in the lobby, and apparently no one could get on, and it is to do with a malformed proto buff error, which, whatever that is, Ben says they are fixed for 1.0.3, which is already out, the new patch. And on Monday, the 23rd of this month, at 1 PM this time, PST, they will try it again. Now, this is 3 hours earlier than the previous one. Hopefully I'll be able to make it. I am busy on a Monday night, but I shall endeavour to try and get back and get online. And they said it should allow us to get online and fight with the devs, but last time it didn't work, so fingers crossed. So, also they mentioned about PAX East, which they are showing us the Battlesphere, which is the zero-G combat arena, very much like out of Ender's Game. And if you go to the event at PAX East, you will be able to fight in that arena or play in the arena with the developers there. You'll get the first hands-on of the Battlesphere. So, news from around the verse, starting with Santa Monica CIG. The Vanguard, which used to be the Bulldog, is now finishing up the concept polish. The Connie and the Freelancer, or the Constellation and the Freelancer, are being reworked in the white boxing phase, and this is to get them working with the modular system and obviously the new character modules, or the character that we are going to see soon. The Xi'an Scout is in the 3D modelling phase right now, so that should be coming up soon for the hangar, fingers crossed. So after that we went to Foundry 42. They have created the new base mail, and this is a really super realistic mail. They've used real people, and I shall show you a video later on, or whenever I can be bothered to remember to put it in, which is to do with the Imaginarium motion capture, where they shoot all the motion capture for Squadron 42 and the Persistent Universe. It looks ridiculously real. The characters move realistically, they're not blocks. But yeah, this will be ready for the FPS demo, which we'll get to see in March, so fingers crossed it'll all go well and we'll get to play with it very soon. So they also mentioned that the facial rig performance, which is the set of 50 cameras I believe it was, where they can really get ultra realistic images of people's faces, it's now in engine and it's capturing all the facial expressions, and they say that the results are very promising. So again, hopefully we'll be able to see that soon. So on a final note with Foundry 42, they were discussing the new attachment systems, and they are called item ports. And basically what it is, clothing or armour, they all have slots unique to each piece. They offer more layers, so what you see on the character will be what they are carrying. They say it works really great for the character customization as well, so you will really be able to get a really in-depth character rather than, you know, having the same person running around the verse all the time. So it'll be a very, very in-depth creation for your own person. Something else they pointed out was earrings, which is a little thing they just dropped in there. You can have earrings whether you want them or not, so if you did want them, your world is your oyster. And again, we should see more of this in the FPS module. I don't know how much of this we'll see. I don't know if we'll get to create our own characters indefinitely, but at least we'll be able to play with them and get used to them. So we went over to Ilphonic in Denver after that, and they haven't been working on well, they have been working obviously very hard, but the main focus has been on the Grapple Beam, which we shall see at PAX East during the Battlesphere combat arena. And it's basically a pistol attachment which attaches underneath the pistol barrel. He said it's not a rope, it's more of a laser which will pull you like a magnet, and if you get closer to the destination it's pulling you to, you will slow down so as not to go smack into the wall. And they're just basically working to make it look right, because obviously you can do this and it can look ridiculous or really shoddy, but they're making it so it looks natural and realistic. They're also working on weapons crates and recharge stations. Now this is quite clearly ammo crates are where you will replenish your ammo during the FPS, and also recharge stations where you can recharge your energy weapons as they do not take ballistic ammo. So again, this will all play part in the FPS, because obviously with it being a realistic game, if you're in the FPS combat environment and you run out of ammo, that shouldn't be game over for you. You should be able to go and replenish your ammo. Obviously you will need to conserve your ammo while you're fighting in FPS, but you'll be able to replenish or recharge depending on what weapon you have, which is very, very cool and very important. But this also plays into the PU in a sense that if you are planning on taking a space station or boarding a spaceship, you will need to make sure that you've got enough ammo on you, because if you start going through them and there aren't recharge stations or ammunition lying around the ship you're trying to take, you can't always just get so far and then have to return back and pick up some more ammo. You know, you'll have to borrow ammo off friends, or make sure you have a weapon that can, make sure that you conserve your ammo properly and you're not just spraying and praying, I suppose. So from there we went to CIG in Austin, Texas, and they are working on the shop items and getting them ready for the social module. They mentioned that there will be the defibrillator in the med unit and about 3 to 4 other shops available to explore. But with it being the social module, they haven't implemented the purchasing yet, so you can only view these items. You can't physically buy them and use them. They're just sort of placeholders. which is cool enough. It's just to test the social aspect, but eventually over time they'll implement, you know, the buying and selling through your Mobi glass. They have also been working on the NPCs that we will see, and one is a bar patron, the other is obviously the barman, and also a medic. So they're currently working on NPC actions as well, and bringing the new AI system online as well, which is made by Moon Collider, which is a very, very in-depth AI system, and this is really going to play a big part in all aspects of Star Citizen. They've got to get it right, as I've said before. But so far they've got people, you know, walking around the world, sitting at a bar, even looking for a place to dance on the dance floor and dancing there, bartenders serving drinks, looking for the bar tabs, all really cool and all in depth. So again, it's the first iteration of what we'll see with the new AI and the social module, so there's going to be bugs, but it'll be exciting regardless. So the most valuable post, and now they say that they are changing this up a bit. The first post they wanted to bring us to the attention of was not a post, more of an organisation which is called Explore, which is currently the biggest organisation with over 10,000 members. And they're explaining that they're doing a great job because they are, not only do they just have groups of people all together, they have magazines, they have posts, they help out the new members, they have giveaways, all sorts of stuff. And again, if you are new to this sort of game and you're looking for an organisation to join, it is a good one. They're not all combat orientated, they are more just about being a group of players. So again, it's definitely a good one to go for, but depending on what you're looking for in an organisation, do a bit of research and just check them out first. So they did have two most valuable posts. The first one was a guy called Scorpy, who sort of just goes through all the Star Citizen medicine aspects. How true it is, I don't know, but I wouldn't have thought CIG would put it up for us all to see if it was far off from what it should be. So the runner-up MVP is a guy called Wolf Seisenbacher, I believe, and he has put a post up explaining the 5 different kinds of pirates. So have a look and decide which pirate you would be. So Ryan Archer interviewed the Austin art team, and it's only a short snippet on Around the Verse as they have put up a separate video for it. The links will be in the description. I haven't reported on it because I haven't actually watched it yet. I've only seen the short version of it. So if you are interested in hearing what the Austin art team has to say, have a look. It is mainly about the character clothing, and there are 3 videos I'll show now. So each one is just a different variations of clothing for each NPC. And these are actually clothing that you can buy yourself. So quite interesting. Now the next snippet, after that we came back and there was Sandy in a sort of a Star Wars parody involving the HOTAS, as she is developing the HOTAS, the official Star Citizen HOTAS system for us. Check it out if you're interested. I'll put a link in the description on the time as to when it happened. It's quite funny. But yeah, anyway, after that, Sandy was at flight school again, and it's lesson number 2. And this week they're explaining that there's 2 different types of weapons currently, excluding missiles. You have the energy and the ballistic. Now, energy weapons, they have unlimited ammo, but they suffer from overheating, and the energy needs to recharge as well. So you can keep firing them until you run out of energy, and then they'll need to recharge, and you have to wait until they come back to the appropriate amount. Ballistics obviously punch through shields, and they have a much more higher stopping power, but there is an ammo count, and once you've run out of ammo, then they're done, and you need to replace the ammo, otherwise you can't use them. So they did explain that energy is good at a distance for breaking down shields, and then ballistics are obviously better close up because you can shred through armor with them. So if you're thinking of what weapons to use, have 1 of each, or, you know, if you've got 4 slots, have 2 ballistic, 2 energy. At distance, use your energy weapons, try and knock the shields out, and then when you get up close and personal with your ballistic weapons and really take them out. So obviously you've got these other weapons coming into play. We've got missiles and neutron weapons, but for now they only covered the 2 basic ones. And as it currently stands in Arena Commander, ballistic weapons, every ballistic weapon you have has 2 full reloads. So once you've spent all your ammo, you'll reload it 1 more time and have a full clip, and then that's it, if you were wondering anyway. So in the lineup of ballistic weapons, you have single barrel weapons, you have repeaters, or you have Gatling type weapons, and the caliber will depend on how each weapon handles, so they are quite realistic. So after she had her second lesson, we went back to Sandy and Ben, and they explained that the Orion concept sale, which we shall speak about soon, will also have a mini game involved in it, where I don't know what it involves, but very much like how the Carrick was with its little exploration mini game, there will be one associated with the Orion. We are still yet to see as of Saturday evening, which is now. Hopefully it'll be out by tomorrow. They also said that they were releasing a design document on mining, which I have covered. That's coming up as well. Very, very excited. A very in-depth article about how this will act as a career. There is a new letter for the chairman, which again we will come to. And scrap all that. The sneak peek this week is the Gold Horizon, which is the first-person shooter level that we will get to play in. It's like the space station we saw during the FPS demo at PAX. Very, very cool. Lots of cool rooms. Very, very in-depth. and there's so much fidelity to these rooms that they seem real, they feel real, and you can see how it was once a working facility for whatever it does. I don't know. Anyway, that was around the first. Let's get on with it. Okay, so we had a new design post, and this one is called Star Citizen Korea's Mining. So we know about mining now. We've heard about it from Tony Zurovec. It is not just going to be a basic, you have a pickaxe and you start hammering away. It is going to be a full, in-depth career that you can either pursue full-time or just in your, when you've got spare time. So the post did start by saying that careers are not something you have to choose and stick to. You don't need to increase your stats in it to become good at it. The only thing that dictates success or failure is your actual capabilities of you, your crew, and the equipment you choose. They stress it's not going to be a mindless repetition activity. It's going to be challenging. You're going to be using your skills and your intelligence. And it's not just going to be a press of a button and just wait for it to do what it needs to do. It's going to be active. You're going to be physically doing it. So they mentioned that the most valuable materials will reside deep within a dense asteroid field. It's going to take a lot of skill to get into them. You can obviously mine the outer asteroids, but there will be not as much minerals or valuable minerals on the outside. Now, they mentioned that the Trade and Development Division, or the TDD, is the first stop for any prospective miner. It is a marketplace for various commodities, and it tells you what's in demand at the time. So you can either pursue the mining in two areas. You can either be freelance or you can be an agent, or employed by someone. So a freelance will elect which materials to procure, where to trade, and this is a potentially a more lucrative direction for mining, but you will obviously have to cover NPC wages, your fuel, any damage that you incur while you're out in the fields, etc, etc. There could be many more other potential ways to lose money. So as an agent or under contract, there is less risk and less expenses, but you set a fixed price beforehand, and if you do not find the minerals that have been expected from you, you can damage your reputation, which then could play off later down the line when you're trying to take other jobs on. So to start with, you need to find a suitable asteroid field. Now, asteroid fields containing ores are littered throughout most of the systems. It says they will be found everywhere on all sorts of places. Every system will contain a variety of information which is considered public knowledge. So this will include major asteroid fields, and these again can be found at the Trade or the TDD. When you're looking for a place to mine, some of them will be public knowledge. And obviously these major asteroid fields, if they are public knowledge, if you are late to these fields, or if you're a small-time miner, you're less likely to find the better materials because they would have already been excavated by the big mining corporations or organisations, not necessarily NPC ones, but real players. If they hear about them and they have a big setup of 3 or 4 Orions, they could get down there first, really collect all the good stuff, and then when you get down there, it'll just be the crappy stuff, where they're sort of spread out vastly throughout the field, and it can take you more time and effort to retrieve them. They may not be worth retrieving for the major miners. So it depends on the scale of mining you are as well. You can just do it as a small time thing, if you have a little miniature ship. We only know of the Orion so far, but I think there will be smaller scale ones where you can mine individually. But yeah, you will get lesser decent goods. So new fields are occasionally located and made known to the public. So these will be throughout the game's history or throughout the game's development. New fields will come apparent. People will sell them to the public so everyone can find them. And then you can head off and keep mining. So it's not going to be just like, one mining field is depleted, then it's done for. And with this aspect in mind, miners can employ the services of people like information brokers, who for a price will offer the locations of smaller unknown fields and keep them secret from everyone else, but tell you about it and allow you to, just yourself or just your crew, go out and mine from there. So again, this is lending into another career other than mining. You could be someone who finds and sells the information either to for public use or to a specific organisation. And this would be known as sort of like the pioneer career, where you use long-range scanners and telemetry probes to scan huge swaths of space to find anomalies, which when you find an anomaly, you may think that this might warrant further investigation and go out and have a look. So when you find something like an asteroid field, you can use that for your own entity. So you can have your own ship and mine there yourself, or you can do it for an organisation who pay you. Or if you choose to release this information to a broker, they will settle a price depending on the size of the field and the materials that are located within this field, depending again on the market rate, the current market rates for those minerals. So you have a lot of ideas as to where you can sell this information. Organisations can also have maybe a subsection of pioneers who are dedicated to searching and discovering fields for organisation mining, for your own organisations. They can also find derelicts for salvaging, or space phenomena, it says, for your science department in your organisation, which is very cool. So that's another career there, just science. And this basically cuts out the middleman, so you're not paying for the information. So this mining occupation supports a variety of specific roles. Each are pretty much just as important as the rest. You can do it all yourself, on your own, without the help of anyone else, but it'll take a lot more time and effort, which would probably not be worth the time spent. You can hire a full NPC crew to do these roles, or you can do it with friends. Friends will likely be more efficient, whereas NPC crews, if you pay good money, they could become efficient, but obviously they may require more money if they're a decent crew member, whereas they'll require a lot less money if they're someone who isn't very good. But then again, it's all about balance. So the roles are pilot, and the pilot will navigate through asteroid fields carefully, so you've got to be very, very careful, very precise in your movements, as obviously the most rich asteroids will likely be located deep within the field, as said before. Now, pilots will always have the final call as to which asteroid warrants the most immediate attention, choosing from an array of options identified by the scanning process. And the pilot, once you find an asteroid, can choose to remain in a fixed position or rotate around the asteroid, allowing the beam operators to get more closer to the elements they're looking to excavate. So the pilot also needs to be aware, as should, say, the beam operator set off a chain reaction of explosions because of the volatile minerals within the asteroid, the pilot needs to be able to quickly maneuver far away enough when the countdown sort of starts happening for the explosion. So you've got to be quite aware, quite astute, and just ready for anything. So the next position is scan operator, and this is quite interesting. This is you're responsible for injecting remote material analysis packages, or RMAPs, and these are injected into the asteroids, and upon success they send back telemetry data back to the pilot and to the scanning operator, informing of the asteroid's precise composition, so whether or not it's worth mining there or not. And depending on the ship and its hardware, it could have several dozen to hundreds of these RMAP missiles equipped. These are manually guided missiles, so once you find an asteroid that is worth investigating, the center mass is automatically calculated, and then the scan operator begins sort of scanning for an appropriate RMAP insertion point. Now, this is far more in depth than I thought it would be. So once chosen, the optimal injection orientation is displayed, that's a mouthful, and the scan operator launches an RMAP missile, controlling the missile's thrust and direction, and the objective is to impact the asteroid in the precise point. So distance from the specified position, deviation from the optimal angle, base material of the asteroids, and the final impact velocity all determine whether the injection is successful or not. So as part of a little, one job, specific job, that is one hell of a job to guide a missile into this asteroid to send back all this data as to where the best minerals are. So after that you have the beam operator, and this is typically second in command. I don't know why. Obviously, whatever rank you are, you can do any role you want or delegate any role, but they say it's apparently second in command, and they are responsible for wielding the multi-megawatt mining beam generators, which are the huge arms near the front of the ship. Now, these beams fracture the asteroids into sizable chunks, and it is up to the beam operator. He has direct control over the beam's output wattage, and it's very important to get this right, because within the asteroid there are volatile materials which can cause explosions or chain reactions with a destructive force, so the whole thing can just explode, and you've got to make sure that the amount of wattage you're putting in is the right amount. And it gives you some examples of the panels that you will be looking at, making sure that you do get this right. The Exothermic Reactor Detector. It's a status display on the beam operator's panel, and this will show you how much excess energy is being spent in inappropriate areas. So if you're firing at a certain area where too much energy is likely to set an explosion off, it'll tell you in sort of like a vertical bar graph. And there's an image there, or you can see, or a GIF I think it was, which shows you the probability per second of a reaction. So that is very important to keep reading these and making sure that they're not going to go too high and cause an explosion. There is also the laser seismometer. I assume that's what it's pronounced. I would have called it a seismometer, but I could be wrong there. This shows individual tremors within the asteroid and the severity of a possible seismic reaction in the form of an explosion. Again, these are actually more dangerous than the previous explosions because it could detonate all the volatile materials within the asteroid, because it'll literally set them all going. They also mention that highly compressed pockets of gas buried within the asteroids present danger, as exposure to the vacuum of space could splinter sections of the asteroid, sending astronauts hurtling through space, and also generate seismic turbulence. So there's going to be a lot to look out for, and if that happens, you need to have a crew on ready on standby in case it does happen, maybe with a Redeemer to go out and tractor beam your crew in who have been flown off. So also they have the Analytical material processor, and this is equipped with on the scanning probe, which identifies the specific materials in close proximity to the probe and the depth at which they are found, and it gives you this little picture again which shows you the what's where and what's located, how much of each mineral is located where, and it just gives you an idea of where's best to start searching. So after that, the next role is the cargo operator, who utilizes a console on the bridge of the ship which has a sort of a monitor feed from a camera mounted within the forward facing input port. This is where you allow, you accept the fragments of asteroid in, and he can view the impact area using a sort of a zoom where the beam is hitting, as well as the various fragments that are being broken off and sort of floating into space. The input port contains this powerful crusher, as you can see on the picture of the Orion, which reduces the asteroid fragments into sort of rubble and stores them in the attached cargo modules for transport. Or if the ship has an integrated refinery, you can refine them. So the cargo operator also directs the targeting cursor towards the fragments, and with the integrated fragment scanner, it's very similar to the analytic material processor, which provides him with sort of immediate feedback in regards to the composition of these fragments, and then he decides whether it's worth it or not to guide that particular fragment into the input port or not. Now the fragment scanner also displays the object's mass and trajectory and velocity as well, so you can see in the direction that it's going in, and you basically got to figure out which one's worth it to get first. So if you see one flying off that's very important and contains lots of minerals, you've got to be quick to grab that. The cargo operator also controls the attractor/repulsor beam generator, which grips the desired asteroid fragment and guides it into the input port, but you can also push the non-needed ones away. So that's a very important job again, because all these jobs really come into their own because you need to make sure you're all working at the top of your game to make the most money. Now the last one is the Refinery Operator. Now this only exists in ships with refining capabilities. The Orion has refining capabilities, but other ships that we will see from other manufacturers probably will not. And it's obvious. It allows raw materials or raw ores to be converted into purified components, and it expels the undesirable elements back into space in the form of dust. So it breaks down, and again this also helps to take up less space, because unrefined fragments of the asteroid will take up more space than the refined elements. So the Refinery Operator controls the routing of ore to the variety of specialized processing units, it says, each with a different role in separating materials from one another. So if the operator makes errors in the refining process, it can cause sensitive equipment to fail or be damaged, stalling the conversion process until that part can be fixed or replaced, typically with a surplus part stored in the ship's inventory. So that's very cool as well. If you're refining something and you damage a particular item because you're not using it right, then the engineers will have to be called in to take a look at it and figure out which part needs to be replaced, and go into the ship's inventory, collecting that part and then repairing the ship. So the final part of this post is to do with selling your cargo, and if obviously if you got your job from an agent, you would return to them, you would collect your pay. He would only pay you for the items that he requested, so you'd have to go to the TDD to sell the remaining materials or find the best amount, which again leads into the freelancer part of it all, because different TDDs in different landing zones will offer dramatically different prices due to the supply and demand of that system. So you may have to shop around before heading planetside to sell your goods, just to get the best deal, the best return for the work you've put in, because it does require a lot of work. So the real value lies really in extracting common materials from one system where it's it's cheap and there's not much demand for them, and then transporting them across the system to another system across the verse to a place where there is a short supply of these minerals, where you can get the highest price. But obviously you've got to be careful, because the closer you get to a system where the goods you are carrying are highly prized, the more you'll become a target. And if pirates are scanning your ship and find these items that they know they can just literally steal from you, take planetside and sell, you're going to have a good defense to fight them off. So they did say that a final point is that another option is to store your mined goods in a planetside storage facility, which you pay monthly costs on, and either wait for the value to increase or use in your organization create a demand however you can. So very interesting post. Again, give me your thoughts. Are you interested in being a miner, or you do find it too boring and rather be more combat orientated? Because also, if you're combat orientated, you could still be part of the crew of a mining organization to protect them and help them transport the goods. So give me your thoughts. Let me know what you think about mining. I am actually thoroughly excited, and I look forward to taking part in all the different roles. They will all have their own fun aspects to them, but will they get tedious over time? Who knows? Again, let me know. Okay, so it's a very, very exciting time this week. We have obviously heard about mining and so forth, but the most important news I feel this week is the release of, the concept sale of the RSI Orion. Now this is a dedicated mining ship, or platform. It's instead of having all the mega corporations able to mine and collect all the money, this has made it available to everyone. Everyone can go out and mine asteroids and all sorts. So this is really, really cool. This is such a cool ship. And it says a little bit of the write-up for it is there'll be multiple independent mining drones. I think there was probably 4 on either side, which you can send off. Probably get inside yourself and do a bit of mining with these drones, or send them off automated, I don't know. There is an onboard refinery, so any ore you collect, you can refine and get more money for it, getting rid of all the excess crap that comes attached to the mineral. And also it saves room on storage, because minerals themselves, once they're refined, they take up less room than your blocks of asteroids that just take up so much room and don't help anyone. So they also says it has a system of saddlebag class storage units, which we are unsure of what they mean, but I'm sure we'll hear about later on. And also onboard accommodations, which they say are industrial in style, but they can be used for extended duration, which is very, very good. So you can head off with your group, with a group of friends for weeks, days, weeks, whatever, and live comfortably while mining. So it says that a single RSI Orion can locate, identify, and extract the ores from asteroids. And it says that if you pair it with an explorer or some transport ships, it'll form the centerpiece of probably a large-scale mining operation, which, if you are interested in that sort of idea, would be very, very exciting. Now the stats, it is 170 meters in length, which before they updated the stats, I noticed it was about, what, 90 meters, I think, or 80 meters. So it's pretty much doubled in size. 50 meters height, 50 meters beam. Now the null cargo mass is 5,400,000. This is subject to change, as it's only their speculative idea, but it won't stay the same, I wouldn't have thought. So there's 600 standard cargo units, a 6-person maximum crew, but that doesn't mean that you can't have more than 6 people on board or less than 6 people. You can still do it all yourself, it'll just take more time. It's just 6-person max crew is to be efficient at running. Has a power plant of size 6, 4 primary TR6 thrusters and 12 TR3 manoeuvring thrusters. Has a max shield size of 6. It has 4 times size 4 tracked beams, 4 times size 1 flat guns, and 1 size 6 mining laser. Now the concept sale is until March. It runs until March the 2nd, so if you are interested in one of these, pick one up. They are $325, which, to be honest, is pretty cheap compared to some of the other ships we've seen of the same scale. So if you're interested, pick one up. You get the ship, you get lifetime insurance, you get a poster for your hangar, and the little Taiketsu model for your hangar as well. And as said before in Around the Verse, there is a mini game coming. I don't know what it'll involve. It'll probably just be Minecraft. That was a joke. It won't be Minecraft. We'll get to see what it is pretty soon, so stay tuned for that. So, also this week there was a new Meet the Devs. This week was the environmental concept artist called Ken Fairclough, so links in the description if you want to see what he has to say. There was a new post which ties in with the news report that we have recently seen kicking off the Around the Verse called Empire Report. This was sort of a follow-up on the announcement of the lynch fever outbreak. It's a very, very cool read, and it could lend way into what we may see further into the persistent universe development about outbreaks on planetside and quarantines and all this sort of stuff. So I'd suggest reading it. Very, very interesting and very inspirational for wanting to play the game, not that we need it. There was an unusual post this week as well called Help the Herald. Now this was to get people excited about the PAX East event, where they shall be showcasing the Battlesphere for the first time. They had an image which was blurred out, and it was up to the Herald to decrypt it, and what they did was they asked us to either attend PAX East, like and share the image on Facebook or Twitter, or send in your best guess as to what you think the image could be. Now in my opinion it clearly looks like the battle arena, right? I don't know, but what do you think? Tell me what you think it might be. Hopefully by the time this video comes out we might know, or it might be Monday. So we saw a new fan spotlight, which was fan trailers, and it features 4 different fan-made trailers showing off Star Citizen's awesomeness. Links are in the description below for the post, and then you can find each and every trailer there. Very, very cool stuff. Really good work. So they're currently designing the collector's box artwork, and so far they have 3 designs of sort of like a 3D embossed box, which are the Hornet, the Freelancer, and the Constellation. But they have set a poll for us to decide what the 4th ship should be. So follow the link below again if you want to cast your vote. I think I voted for the Karak, but I believe the Bengal carrier is sort of up front at the moment. So we also saw the return of Galactic guides. Now, I love these Galactic guides, and this week it was to do with the Virgil system. If you're interested in what the Virgil system has to offer, please check out the link below. And I cannot wait for the Galactic map to be made available for us all, because I do still plan on doing these system guides where I talk about each system in depth and, you know, the trade routes and what you can bring in, what you can sell, the pirates and so forth. But I decided I would wait for the map because it just shows you what each place looks like, whereas it's so hard to find images and video of each and every place. So I'm holding off on that, but it will be coming. So we saw the release of Arena Commander 1.0.3, which landed this week. There are so many changes, so instead of reeling them all off and letting you know what they are, I'll put the link in the description below. If you're interested in what is in this new patch, please follow the link, as it'll tell you every single thing that is available for the new patch. Very, very cool. So we had an inside CIG post again this time, showing us the incredible work which is happening over at the Imaginarium, which is where the Mocap shoot is being done. I've sort of edited some footage together of their video, as a lot of it was just talking to the camera, but you can see already how these characters are shaping up, and they just look second to none. It is seriously going to be not just a AAA game, it's going to be a quadruple A game. You know, it's the amount of work that's being gone into these characters alone just will look fantastic, and hopefully we'll get to see that with the FPS module. So for all you subscribers out there, not to our channel, to Star Citizen, we have a new jump point, and this month it shows off the Arc Core landing zone, and it is very, very thorough. It shows you all the different variations of clouds and so forth. Just check it out if you're a subscriber. If you're not, I suggest becoming a subscriber. You can pledge $10 a month, which is what I do. A rolling month, which is better for me than pledging $120 for the whole year. But there are different tiers, so if you're interested, check it out. So finally, there was a letter from the chairman. Now, these are done differently, as they used to be. For every $1 million stretch goal we hit, he would bring out a new letter, but because we were probably hitting them every 2 minutes over the course of certain shows, and then he'd come back, they'd be late. I think he feels his time is much more valuable spent designing the game and developing, which I agree. So they're going to be sort of once a month, I think it said. And it did state that what's coming up is all going to be in quick succession. So we're going to see Arena Commander 1.1 with the REC involved. There's going to be the FPS and the social module and the first drop of the PU. He says very, very quickly all together. Very much cannot wait for all these items. Very exciting. So he also mentioned that there's a gent called Jared Huckabee, who is also known as Disco Lando, which if you're a veteran backer of the game, you will know who he is. If you're new, he is someone who has been doing a lot for the community constantly from the beginning of Star Citizen's development, and he has been recruited to create kind of like a talk soup to show off purely for Star Citizen fan community videos, as they'll no longer be showcased on Around the Verse. So he's going to put together a design post each week, maybe every so often, with all the different community videos. So who knows, we may even see Star Citizen Sunday up there. So anywho, Chris Roberts finished off as usual with a big thank you to everyone, all the backers, all the subscribers, everyone who is helping support this game. As a quote I heard him say is that our DNA is within this game because we are helping design it in that sense, which is brilliant. So as you are all probably aware, we have been giving away the Aurora Essential this week, courtesy of Robert Smith, who is a wonderful chap. You've been given 1 week to get your comments in below telling us what your first ever upgrade would be in the PU, or once the PU hits. I particularly liked I would upgrade my PC comment, which was slightly off subject as I meant when the game, you know, in-game, but hell, it made me chuckle anyway. So as always, there can only be one winner. Clearly, all you are winners for just taking part. But anyway, the winner is Avery Bowles. I'm sorry, I've pronounced it wrong, I'm sure I have. Anyway, you are the winner of the Aurora ES game package, and his comment said, with the basic Aurora ES, the first thing I'd need on that sucker is as much cargo space as I can jam pack onto it. Find a couple of convoys with decent protection and start my PU campaign with a couple of big scores. After that, the other components and upgrades I need will be within my budget. Looking forward to it more than chocolate chip waffles with mint syrup for breakfast. That actually sounds very nice. Anyway, you are the winner, Avery, so well done. You are now the proud owner of, or you are soon to be the proud owner of the Aurora Essential game package. But in traditional fashion, sheer not shalt you not be the winner this week, as Robert has kindly supplied us with the Aurora MR, or Marquee package, to give away. With this, you get the Aurora ship, obviously, with 3 months insurance, the Southland hangar, starting money of 1,000 UEC, the digital Star Citizen manual, beta access so you can get flying ASAP, Squadron 42 digital download, which is the single player game, and the Star Citizen digital download, which is the Persistent Universe, the big multiplayer game. So to stand the chance of winning, we want to know what ship you are most looking forward to and why. You have got a week to get your comments in, and next Sunday we will announce the winner. So good luck. Please get in your comments, tell me what you think about everything we've discussed. A big thank you to all our patrons because you are really helping our show. Don't forget to subscribe for more Star Citizen content. Like the video if you did, share it if you can, and I shall see you in the verse.